Two princesses, two worlds. Their meeting threatened the balance of power. From her balcony, Princess Lyra watched the floating transport platforms glide smoothly between buildings, each carrying citizens to their work or school. She felt a mix of excitement and restlessness. Her world was perfect in many ways: clean streets, advanced technology, and AI companions that guided daily life. But she often wondered if there was more beyond the boundaries of Eloria. Lyra had always been curious about the stars. Every night she would look out at the distant glimmers of light, imagining planets teeming with life. Her parents, the king and queen, had raised her with care, encouraging curiosity but always reminding her of duty. Still, Lyra could not ignore the feeling that her destiny stretched beyond her own world. Today, that feeling pulsed stronger than ever, because the celestial alignment was approaching, a rare cosmic event that opened a temporary portal to distant regions of the galaxy. Legends said that once every 1,000 years, worlds could connect through this portal, offering opportunities for exchange, friendship, or even discovery that might reshape the future. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Violia awoke under a sky streaked with green and gold. The floating forests glimmered as bioluminescent plants stirred in the gentle breeze, responding to the energy of the people living among them. Princess Selene walked barefoot along a vine-lined path, feeling the hum of her world's life beneath her feet. Violia had no cities like Eloria. Its beauty lay in the harmony of nature, the balance between people and environment. Selene loved her world deeply, but she had long wondered if there were other civilizations out there, other minds to meet, other wisdom to gain. The elders of Violia had warned her about curiosity. They valued patience, and they feared outsiders could disrupt the delicate balance of their forests. Yet Selene could not resist the stories of the celestial alignment. This event promised a glimpse of other worlds, a rare chance for a princess like her to step beyond familiar skies. When the time came, she would journey to the portal, guided by both excitement and caution. The day of the alignment arrived with a quiet thrill. On Eloria, scientists monitored the portal's emergence from within the Grand Observatory, a structure of glass and steel that spiraled high above the city. Lyra approached the observation deck, her hair glinting in the soft sunlight. She could see the shimmering outline forming at the edge of the planet's atmosphere, a ripple in the air that twisted like a silver ribbon. Her heart raced. The portal was real, larger than she had imagined, and inviting in its mysterious glow. At the same time, Selene climbed a floating ridge in Violia, her hands brushing over luminous plants as she ascended. From her vantage point, she could see the portal forming, suspended between the worlds like a thread connecting two distant hearts. Her people whispered prayers of caution, but she felt only awe and curiosity. She stepped forward, taking the first cautious step into the unknown. When Lyra entered the portal on Eloria, her senses tingled with an unfamiliar energy. The air was warm and fragrant, carrying hints of flowers she had never smelled. Her AI companion, a small orb named Elios, hovered nearby, offering gentle reassurances. "Princess Lyra, energy readings indicate life forms ahead," it said. Lyra's pulse quickened. She could feel the presence of someone else, a mind, a heart, another being reaching across the void. On the other side, Selene felt a similar shiver of recognition. The portal hummed softly, and she saw a figure emerge from the silver shimmer. It was a human, though her clothes and bearing were different from anyone Selene had ever met. She could see the curiosity in the stranger's eyes, and she knew immediately that this was someone special, someone who had crossed the stars for the same reason she had. Their first meeting was cautious. Lyra stepped fully into Violia, and Selene advanced a few steps to meet her. Both raised hands in greeting, unsure of protocol. "I am Princess Lyra of Eloria," Lyra said softly, trying to calm her racing thoughts. I have never met anyone from another world before." Selene smiled, a mixture of warmth and relief. "I am Princess Selene of Violia, nor have I ever met anyone from another world. It seems the celestial alignment has brought us together." The two princesses studied each other with fascination. Lyra's silver-blue dress shimmered with technological fibers, while Selene's flowing green robe glowed faintly with natural energy. They were so different, yet there was a spark of recognition, a sense that they were kindred spirits despite the distances between their worlds. Elios hovered closer to Lyra, scanning the surroundings. "Environmental conditions are stable, Princess," No threats detected. Selene chuckled lightly. In Violia, we call such moments the calm before discovery. They began to talk, exchanging stories about their worlds. Lyra described the towering cities of Eloria, the AI companions, and the way technology made life orderly and efficient. Selene shared tales of floating forests, living bridges of vines, and the gentle creatures that responded to her people's energy. As they spoke, each realized how much there was to learn from the other. Yet even as they laughed and marveled at one another's worlds, they felt the weight of unseen eyes. Leaders in both Eloria and Violia had received reports. The princesses were meeting. Some were curious and hopeful, but others whispered concerns about influence, alliances, and possible threats. Eloria's council debated whether this portal could be a risk to their technology, while Violia's elders warned of outsiders changing the balance of their ecosystem. Neither Lyra nor Selene knew of these growing tensions, but they could sense that their friendship might have consequences beyond their understanding. For now, they focused on each other. Lyra guided Selene through a small holographic display, showing her maps of the stars and the paths of trade ships. Selene touched the bioluminescent vines nearby, teaching Lyra how to feel the energy of living plants, how to listen to the rhythms of life itself. The exchange was electric in the most peaceful sense, an energy of curiosity, learning, and genuine connection. As the day passed, they walked through Violia's floating gardens, marveling at the glowing plants that bent toward them as if greeting their presence. Birds with translucent wings circled above, and Selene laughed as one landed on Lyra's shoulder, pecking gently at her hair. Lyra laughed too, realizing that friendship could feel this natural even with someone from another world. By afternoon, both princesses were exhausted but exhilarated. They sat near a waterfall that floated midair, the mist catching colors like a rainbow in the sunlight. Lyra looked at Selene thoughtfully. I never imagined I would meet someone like you. Someone who understands curiosity the way I do, Selene nodded. And I never imagined I would meet someone who sees the world differently and yet values life as deeply as I do. It is rare to find such a connection. The moment was quiet and full of unspoken understanding. They had formed a bond that went beyond words, a connection that would grow stronger with each meeting. Yet even in that quiet, the distant hum of political tension lingered. In Eloria, the council debated closing the portal after observing Lyra's absence. In Violia, the elders whispered fears of change and influence. The two princesses remained unaware of these forces, their focus entirely on exploration, learning, and discovery. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, the portal shimmered faintly, signaling that it would remain open only for a limited time. Lyra and Selene knew that this first meeting could not last forever, but they refused to part without planning future exchanges. We will meet again, Lyra promised. Selene smiled. And next time we will learn even more. Perhaps our worlds can benefit from what we discover together. When they finally stepped back from the portal, the silver shimmer enveloping them, a sense of possibility lingered in the air. The celestial alignment had brought them together, and though neither fully understood the challenges ahead, they knew that this meeting was the beginning of something extraordinary. Something that might change not only their lives, but the lives of countless people across two worlds. The sky over Violia turned golden as night approached, and Lyra returned to her own world through the portal. Selene watched her vanish, feeling a strange warmth and hope. The first step had been taken, and in that step lay the promise of discovery, friendship, and a bridge between two worlds that had never met before. Unseen by either princess, council members and advisors in both worlds observed the event from afar, whispering concerns and predictions. The balance of power might shift if the princesses continued their exchanges, but for now, the princesses were unaware of the political weight of their meeting. They only knew curiosity, joy, and the thrill of connection. That night, Lyra gazed at the stars from her balcony, thinking of Selene and the glowing forest she had seen. Selene, on her own balcony in Violia, gazed back at the portal, imagining the gleaming cities of Eloria. Across the galaxy, two worlds had touched, and in that touch, the seeds of cooperation, learning, and friendship were planted. Little did they know, this meeting would become the story that inspired generations. A tale of courage without conflict, curiosity without fear, and connection across the stars. Their worlds might challenge them in the future, But for now, they had found each other, and that was enough to light a spark that could never be extinguished. The morning sun of Violia poured soft light over the floating forests, illuminating every leaf and vine with a gentle glow. Princess Selene walked through a narrow path lined with bioluminescent flowers, still thinking about her first meeting with Lyra. The memory of the silver-haired princess, with her shimmering dress and wide-eyed curiosity, lingered in her mind. Selene had expected the encounter to be brief, a fleeting moment in the grand pattern of the celestial alignment, but it had grown into something more, a spark of connection she could not ignore. Back on Eloria, Lyra awoke with the same feeling. The city below her palace hummed with activity, transport platforms gliding and AI companions assisting citizens with gentle efficiency. Yet for all the order and beauty of her world, Lyra felt an emptiness that only Selene's presence could fill. The memory of glowing forests, the gentle energy of living plants, and Selene's quiet confidence had stirred something inside her, a desire to learn, to explore, and to connect beyond the walls of her city. The two princesses had agreed to continue their exchange, using the celestial alignment's portal to visit each other. Neither fully understood how rare or delicate the opportunity was, yet they both felt that this friendship could be the beginning of something remarkable. Selene prepared to guide Lyra through the heart of Violia's world, while Lyra organized her journey with careful attention to the portal's stability and the instructions of her AI companion, Elios. When Lyra arrived in Violia, Selene met her at the portal's edge. This time, both princesses smiled openly, relieved to see each other again. Lyra's eyes widened at the sight of the glowing forests that stretched endlessly into the sky, their leaves swaying in harmony with the hum of the planet. "It's even more beautiful than I remembered," she said, stepping forward carefully. Selene extended a hand, guiding Lyra along a bridge of vines that hovered above a deep, sparkling lake. "It changes with every sunrise," Selene said. "Every moment here is alive, every color responding to life's energy." Lyra marveled at the way the plants bent slightly toward her presence, as if welcoming her into the world. She felt warmth and calm she had never known in the bustling cities of Eloria. As they walked, the two princesses began to exchange knowledge. Lyra showed Selene a small portable holographic device, projecting images of Eloria's cities, transport platforms, and AI networks. "These devices help us communicate, learn, and maintain our cities efficiently," Lyra explained. "We can monitor energy, traffic, and even weather patterns to keep life smooth and safe." Selene watched the projections with fascination. "In Violia, we rely on observation and understanding of the natural world," she said. "We feel the rhythm of the forests, the flow of the rivers, and the movement of the skies. We use this knowledge to live without harming our environment." She paused, then smiled. "But I think your technology could help us in small ways if used carefully." Their discussion quickly turned into collaboration. They imagined ways to combine the strengths of their worlds, technology enhancing nature without harming it, and natural energy guiding technology with balance and empathy. Lyra's mind raced with possibilities, while Selene suggested experiments to measure energy flow and plant response. Together, they sketched ideas in holograms and leaf patterns, creating visions that neither world had ever seen before. Yet even in this peaceful collaboration, the princesses could sense subtle challenges. Citizens and advisors in both worlds were watching. In Eloria, the council debated whether the celestial alignment portal should remain open for extended visits. Some expressed curiosity and hope, while others whispered cautionary tales of influence and espionage. In Violia, elders voiced concerns about outsiders disturbing the balance of the floating forests. The princesses did not see these tensions directly, but they felt a slight unease, a reminder that their friendship might ripple across their worlds in ways they could not yet predict. For the next few days, Lyra and Selene explored Violia together. They visited luminous gardens where flowers glowed in response to their voices, and ponds filled with translucent fish that darted gracefully beneath their feet. Selene taught Lyra to sense the energy of living things, how to feel the subtle pulse of a tree or the gentle hum of a plant responding to the environment. Lyra, in return, showed Selene the precision of technological analysis, teaching her to measure energy flows and predict outcomes using small AI-guided instruments. The exchange of knowledge deepened their bond. They laughed often, discovering shared values and dreams. Lyra was amazed at how Selene could feel the planet's life as if it were part of her own being. And Selene was fascinated by Lyra's ability to manipulate technology with creativity and care. Each learned something essential from the other. Lyra learned patience, empathy, and the importance of harmony, while Selene discovered efficiency, innovation, and the power of careful observation combined with precise action. One afternoon, as the golden light of Virelia's twin suns bathed the floating forests, Lyra and Selene sat near a waterfall suspended midair. Water sparkled as it fell, reflecting light like scattered gems. "I never imagined that worlds could be so different and yet so capable of learning from each other," Lyra said. "I feel like I am seeing the universe for the first time." Selene smiled, her eyes bright. "And I feel that your world could teach us ways to preserve our forests and rivers without changing who we are. It is a balance I had never considered before." She paused, then laughed softly. "We may be young, but together we are discovering possibilities that no one has imagined." Their joy and excitement were not unnoticed. In Eloria, Elios monitored the portal, noting changes in energy patterns and alerting the council to Lyra's continued absence. Advisors argued over whether allowing the princess to travel to Virelia was wise. Meanwhile, in Virelia, elders observed the interactions with a mix of admiration and worry. Some young citizens were inspired by the princess's friendship, but older members whispered concerns that the influence of an outsider could disrupt centuries of balance. Despite these tensions, the princesses remained undeterred. They sensed that their work and friendship could demonstrate the potential of cooperation, showing their worlds that knowledge and curiosity need not lead to conflict. One evening, as the sun set and the sky blazed with streaks of pink and green, they devised their first joint project. A small bioluminescent garden powered by a combination of Virelia's natural energy and Eloria's clean technology. The project was simple, yet it symbolized their shared vision. They carefully planned the experiment. Lyra adjusted the AI nodes to regulate light and water, while Selene guided the energy flow of the plants, ensuring they remained healthy and vibrant. The garden responded immediately, glowing brighter than they had imagined, leaves waving in synchronized patterns that seemed to dance to their combined energies. Lyra clapped her hands in delight. "It works! I never thought we could do this together so quickly." Selene laughed, her eyes reflecting the garden's glow. "The key is balance. We each bring something essential, and together it thrives. Perhaps this is a lesson our worlds need." For days, they continued experimenting with small projects. Floating lanterns powered by natural energy, streams guided by AI to ensure purity, and drones that gently tended plants without harming the environment. Each success reinforced their bond, and they began to share ideas for larger projects, envisioning a future where their worlds could collaborate without conflict. Yet the undercurrent of political tension remained. Lyra and Selene began to notice subtle attempts to interfere with their plans. On Virelia, certain advisors questioned the princess's intentions, planting doubts in the minds of citizens. On Eloria, council members debated restrictions on the portal, fearing that secrets could be revealed or that influence could be misused. These whispers did not reach the princesses directly, but they sensed them, a quiet hum of worry that reminded them their friendship was more than personal. It had implications that stretched across planets. One morning, as mist curled around the floating forests, Lyra spoke seriously to Selene. "I feel like there are forces watching us, questioning what we are doing. Not everyone will understand our friendship or the work we are creating." Selene nodded thoughtfully. "I feel it too. But that is all the more reason to continue. If we allow fear to control us, we will miss what could be possible. We must show that curiosity, learning, and friendship can bring good to both worlds." They decided to present their progress to small groups of citizens from both planets, hoping to inspire understanding and support. The first demonstration took place in a clearing where the bioluminescent garden thrived. Citizens and young leaders from Virelia gathered, and Lyra's AI companion projected holograms showing the integration of technology with natural energy. The crowd watched in awe as floating lanterns lit themselves, streams shifted gracefully, and plants pulsed with harmonious energy. "The worlds are not so different," Lyra explained. We can learn from each other and create beauty without harming our own traditions. Selene added, when we share knowledge and respect each world's values, we can achieve wonders together. Balance is not lost, it is strengthened. The demonstration was met with curiosity, applause, and cautious hope. It did not eliminate all doubts, but it sparked conversation. Citizens began to imagine the possibilities of collaboration, and the seeds of understanding were planted in both worlds. As the day ended and the twin suns dipped behind the floating forests, Lyra and Selene sat quietly, reflecting on their progress. "We have done so much," Lyra said softly, "and yet I feel there is still more to learn." Selene nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "Our friendship is the start. The work we do together will show our worlds that curiosity and collaboration are more powerful than fear. We will face challenges, but together we can guide both worlds to a better future." And so, as night fell over Violia, the two princesses rested with a quiet sense of accomplishment and hope. They had discovered each other, begun to merge their knowledge, and inspired their citizens. The path ahead was uncertain, but it was full of promise, a promise that would grow in the days to come, shaping the future of two worlds that had never met before. The stars above twinkled gently, as if celebrating the union of curiosity, friendship, and cooperation. For Lyra and Selene, the journey was only beginning, and they were determined to explore it together, one step at a time, across the vast reaches of the galaxy. The sky above Violia was streaked with gold and violet as dawn touched the floating forests. Princess Selene walked along a canopy bridge, her bare feet brushing softly against the vines. The air was alive with energy, every leaf and flower seeming to hum in response to her presence. Yet beneath the beauty, a tension lingered. She had felt subtle unease ever since her last meeting with Lyra. Something was stirring in the hearts of the elders and advisors, a worry about the strange bond forming between two princesses from worlds so different. Lyra, meanwhile, prepared for her journey from Eloria. The city was already awake, platforms moving with quiet efficiency, citizens hurrying along smooth streets guided by the soft glow of their AI companions. Lyra's mind buzzed with excitement. Her last visit had been exhilarating, full of discovery and laughter. Together with Selene, they had begun experiments blending technology and nature, creating projects that neither world could have imagined alone. But she also sensed the subtle tensions in her own council. Some advisors worried that her growing friendship with Selene might influence decisions, sharing secrets or technologies too soon. Lyra pushed the thought aside, determined to focus on the work that lay ahead. When Lyra arrived through the portal, Selene was waiting at the edge, her hair brushing the morning light, eyes bright with curiosity. "Welcome back," Selene said, stepping forward. "I have been preparing something for us today." Lyra smiled, adjusting her robes. "I cannot wait to see it. Every time I visit, I feel as though there is a new layer of your world waiting to be discovered." Selene led her through a hidden grove, one that pulsed with a faint energy she had been studying for weeks. Tiny flowers glimmered in synchronized patterns, streams flowed along invisible paths, and the air itself seemed alive. "I have been experimenting with the energy here," Selene explained. "I believe it can guide small technological devices without harming the plants or wildlife. It is delicate, but I think we can create something useful for both our worlds." Lyra's eyes widened. "That is exactly what I hoped we could do. I brought some portable AI nodes. Together we can test them and see how the energy responds." They spent hours working together, carefully combining technology with natural energy. The nodes floated gently above the flowers, following the rhythms of the plants. Streams of light traced the energy pathways, weaving patterns that shifted with every subtle change in the environment. Lyra's AI companion, Elios, hovered nearby, scanning the readings and suggesting adjustments. Selene guided the energy flows with her hands, feeling the pulse of life in each plant. "It is working," Lyra whispered, awe in her voice. "The energy responds to both nature and technology. It is beautiful." Selene nodded, smiling softly. "It shows what our worlds can accomplish when we listen to each other. It is not about controlling, but about understanding and balance." Their success was exhilarating, but subtle challenges began to emerge. On Eloria, council members debated whether Lyra should continue visiting Violia so frequently. Some feared that secrets of technology might be shared, or that decisions could be influenced by a foreign perspective. In Violia, elders whispered concerns that Lyra's presence might disturb the balance of natural energy. They did not see the experiments, nor the care with which Selene guided her guest, but suspicion grew quietly. Despite these tensions, the princesses remained focused. They decided to test a larger project, creating a floating garden that combined Violia's energy with Eloria's AI management system. The garden would float above the canopy, pulsing with bioluminescent light at night, demonstrating the beauty of collaboration between the two worlds. Building the garden required patience. Lyra adjusted the AI nodes, setting parameters to monitor energy levels and ensure safety. Selene guided the plants, teaching Lyra how to sense subtle fluctuations in energy and respond without forcing the system. Hours passed as they worked, but neither complained. They shared ideas, laughter, and stories, strengthening their bond with every step. As the garden took shape, citizens from nearby settlements began to notice. Young Violians peered through the canopy, marveling at the glowing plants. A few were brave enough to approach, and Lyra welcomed them with warmth, explaining the principles of balance and cooperation. Selene guided them in feeling the energy of the plants, teaching them that every being, plant, animal, or human, played a role in the harmony of the world. News of the garden eventually reached both worlds' leaders. Some saw it as a sign of potential, a demonstration of what curiosity and collaboration could achieve. Others worried that it could set a precedent for influence or unexpected change. Whispers spread, subtle attempts to question the princesses' intentions without confronting them directly. These challenges were quiet, almost invisible, but they added weight to every step Lyra and Selene took. One afternoon, as the suns began to set over the floating forests, the princesses noticed a small disruption in the energy flow. The plants dimmed slightly and the streams of light flickered. "Something is off," Lyra said, her voice tense but calm. Selene placed her hands over the energy field, closing her eyes. "It is subtle, like a hesitation. Perhaps it is the response of the elders' doubts or the concern of those observing. Energy is sensitive to intention and attention. Let us focus on balance." Together, they worked to stabilize the garden. Lyra adjusted the AI nodes, aligning them with the natural pulses, while Selene guided the energy with patience and care. Slowly, the garden's glow returned to full brightness, and the floating plants swayed gently as if acknowledging their effort. "It responds to trust as much as technology," Selene said softly. "Perhaps that is the lesson here. Collaboration requires patience, understanding, and focus." Lyra nodded. "And perhaps it is a lesson our worlds need as well. If citizens and leaders can see the results of our work, they might learn to trust each other too." Encouraged by their success, the princesses decided to organize a small demonstration for both worlds' young leaders. They invited a select group from Violia to witness the garden's energy, while Lyra projected a holographic display for Eloria's youth. The event was designed to inspire understanding, showing that technology and nature could coexist in harmony. The demonstration began at dawn. Bioluminescent plants glowed softly, streams traced golden paths through the garden, and AI-guided drones floated gently, monitoring and maintaining the system. Selene guided the Violians, teaching them to sense the energy and respond without interference. Lyra projected holograms, showing how similar patterns could be applied to cities, agriculture, and even energy management. The young leaders were captivated. They asked questions, experimented with the energy, and marveled at the possibilities. Some from Violia had never considered using technology in such a way, while some from Eloria had never imagined life so closely connected to energy and nature. By the end of the demonstration, both groups were inspired, and a sense of hope and possibility filled the air. Yet not all observers were pleased. In both worlds, some adults and leaders whispered concerns. "The princesses are too focused on novelty," one advisor said quietly. "They do not consider the consequences," another argued. "The balance of power may shift if their influence grows too strong. They must be monitored carefully." Lyra and Selene, unaware of these murmurs, continued their work. They spent long days designing new experiments, blending Violia's energy with Eloria's technology to create sustainable systems, educational tools, and small projects that could benefit both worlds. Each success reinforced their belief in collaboration, friendship, and curiosity. One evening, as the sun set and the sky glowed with violet and gold, the princesses sat together near a waterfall suspended midair, the sound of water mingling with the hum of energy from the garden. "We have accomplished so much," Lyra said, her voice soft. "Yet I feel the challenges are just beginning. We must be careful, for not everyone will understand what we are trying to do." Selene nodded. "I have felt the same, but perhaps it is the challenge that makes our work meaningful. If we only had acceptance, we would not have to learn, grow, or prove the value of cooperation." They talked long into the evening, sharing hopes, ideas, and concerns. They planned new projects: AI-guided gardens, energy monitors for rivers and forests, and educational programs to teach young citizens the principles of balance, respect, and collaboration. Each plan was designed to inspire rather than enforce, to encourage learning rather than obedience. As night fell, the stars above Violia shimmered in brilliant patterns. Lyra looked up, feeling a sense of wonder she had never known in the orderly streets of Eloria. Selene stood beside her, hands resting lightly on the railing of the canopy bridge. "Do you think our worlds will ever truly understand what we are doing?" Lyra asked. Selene smiled, her eyes reflecting the glowing garden below. "They will in time. Curiosity, learning, and friendship are stronger than suspicion. Even if there are doubts now, our work will speak for itself. The future will see what we have built together." In the quiet of the floating forests, the two princesses made a promise. They would continue their collaboration, face challenges with patience, and show both worlds the power of cooperation. They did not yet know the obstacles that awaited them: political debates, misunderstandings, and subtle interference. But they felt confident that their bond would endure. As the portal shimmered faintly in the distance, signaling the temporary connection between worlds, Lyra and Selene realized that their friendship had grown beyond simple curiosity. It had become a force capable of inspiring change, bridging cultures, and teaching lessons about balance, understanding, and hope. The night deepened, but the glowing gardens below continued to pulse with life, a symbol of what two worlds could achieve when guided by empathy, intelligence, and trust. For Lyra and Selene, the journey was far from over. The challenges would grow, the pressures would mount. But together, they would navigate the unknown, learning, teaching, and shaping a future where curiosity and cooperation could light the way. And so, under the twin moons of Violia, the two princesses rested with quiet determination. Their worlds might challenge them, their leaders might question them, but the bridge they had begun to build, a bridge of friendship, learning, and shared vision, was strong. Strong enough to face any subtle test, strong enough to inspire generations, and strong enough to prove that the meeting of two minds could indeed shape the destiny of worlds. The first light of dawn shimmered over Violia, reflecting off the floating forests like a sea of green. And gold. Princess Selene walked along a vine bridge, her thoughts focused on the day ahead. Today was special. Lyra was arriving once again through the celestial alignment portal, and the princesses planned to unveil their most ambitious project yet, a creation that could show both worlds the full potential of their friendship and collaboration. Lyra emerged from the portal, her silver-blue dress catching the sunlight. She stepped carefully onto the bridge, smiling as she approached Selene. "I can feel the excitement in the air," Lyra said, her voice light but determined. "Are you ready?" Selene nodded, her eyes bright. "I have never been more ready. Today, we show our worlds what curiosity, learning, and cooperation can achieve, and perhaps we also show them trust is stronger than fear." Together, they walked to a vast clearing at the center of the forest, a place chosen for its beauty and energy. The area had been prepared for weeks, a combination of Violia's natural energy channels and Eloria's advanced technology. Floating gardens shimmered in soft bioluminescence, streams reflected golden light, and AI-guided drones hovered gently, ensuring that every plant, flower, and vine thrived. Lyra activated the Harmony Beacon, a device they had designed together. It pulsed softly, a combination of technological precision and natural energy that amplified the life force of the surrounding forest. Selene guided the energy with her hands, channeling it gently through the plants and streams, while Lyra adjusted the nodes to maintain perfect balance. The light and energy shifted in harmony, creating a display that felt alive, almost sentient. Citizens from Violia and representatives from Eloria had been invited to witness the demonstration. They arrived in small groups, moving quietly through the forest as the beacon pulsed and the gardens glowed. The young leaders from both worlds watched in awe, whispering to each other about the beauty and precision of the combined creation. It was unlike anything they had seen before, a tangible symbol of cooperation that honored both technology and nature. "This is incredible," one young Virelian said, stepping carefully through the glowing pathways. "I never thought technology could feel so alive. And I never imagined nature could guide technology so perfectly," a young Elorian replied, adjusting a small holographic device projecting the beacon's energy flow. "It's like both worlds are breathing together." Selene and Lyra moved through the crowd, explaining their process, answering questions, and demonstrating how the Harmony beacon worked. Their words were simple but clear, emphasizing respect, balance, and collaboration. Citizens began to understand that this was not just an experiment or display. It was a vision for a future where both worlds could benefit from shared knowledge and empathy. However, the demonstration was not without tension. Some elders and council members remained skeptical, their whispers still present in the background. "We do not know what this could lead to," one Virelian elder muttered. "What if this energy is misused?" In Eloria, another advisor noted, "The princesses are brilliant, but the long-term effects of sharing knowledge across worlds are uncertain. We must observe carefully." Lyra and Selene, aware of these concerns from prior discussions, focused on showing rather than convincing. Actions spoke louder than words. The beacon pulsed stronger, the gardens responded with synchronized movements, and the young citizens' fascination grew. Slowly, the skepticism began to fade, replaced with awe and curiosity. As the demonstration continued, a subtle change occurred. The energy flowing through the gardens began to resonate beyond the clearing, reaching the edges of the forest and touching streams, trees, and vines that had not been part of the experiment. It was a gentle ripple, but it symbolized something powerful, the potential for collaboration to extend far beyond their initial designs. Selene and Lyra watched in quiet amazement. "It is responding to the presence of all these people," Selene whispered. "Their curiosity, their willingness to learn, it amplifies the energy," Lyra nodded. "It is not just our work, it is the trust and openness of everyone here. That is the true strength of cooperation." As the day passed, the demonstration reached its peak. The Harmony beacon glowed brighter than ever, streams of light weaving intricate patterns in the air. Citizens clapped, young leaders cheered, and even some skeptical elders could not hide their amazement. It was a moment of unity, proof that two worlds could come together to create something extraordinary without conflict, without fear, and without harm. After the demonstration, the princesses gathered with the young leaders from both worlds. They shared their thoughts, encouraging questions, discussions, and ideas for future projects. "This is just the beginning," Lyra said. "There is so much we can learn from each other. Technology and nature can guide us, inspire us, and help us create better lives for everyone." Selene added, "And the key is respect. Respect for our worlds, for each other, and for the knowledge we share. When we work together with care, we can achieve wonders far beyond what we imagine." Even the elders and advisors began to see the value in the collaboration. Some approached the princesses privately, expressing interest in learning more, offering guidance, and asking how they could support the projects. The subtle tension that had lingered for weeks began to dissolve, replaced with cautious optimism. That evening, as the twin moons of Virely arose, the princesses returned to the portal, preparing to travel back to Eloria. The gardens glowed softly behind them, a lasting symbol of what had been accomplished. "I cannot believe how far we have come," Lyra said, her voice quiet but filled with awe. "From a single meeting to this, it feels like a dream." Selene smiled. "It began as curiosity and friendship, and now it has grown into understanding, inspiration, and hope. Our worlds have taken the first steps towards something greater." The portal shimmered, connecting the worlds once again. Lyra stepped through, feeling the familiar rush of energy as she returned to Eloria. Selene watched her vanish, a sense of pride and anticipation in her heart. They both knew that this was only the beginning, and that future projects would be larger, more complex, and perhaps even more influential. Back on Eloria, Lyra walked through the city streets, her mind full of ideas. She met with Elios, her AI companion who had been monitoring citizen reactions. "Princess Lyra, the demonstration had a profound effect." Citizens are inspired, curious, and motivated to learn. The young leaders are particularly receptive. Lyra smiled. That is exactly what I hoped for. We are planting seeds not just in the gardens, but in minds and hearts. It is a start and the beginning of a lasting change. Over the next few days, the princesses continued their exchange, traveling between worlds, testing new projects, and sharing knowledge. They created energy-efficient learning centers, floating libraries, and interactive gardens where citizens could experiment and explore safely. The collaboration inspired young people to ask questions, to imagine, and to innovate. Political tensions, once subtle and cautious, began to fade. Leaders saw the positive effects on education, sustainability, and community engagement. Citizens began to advocate for continued collaboration, and whispers of doubt were replaced with conversations about potential, growth, and understanding. Lyra and Seleni's friendship had become a bridge, connecting two worlds not through force or pressure, but through learning, respect, and cooperation. One afternoon, as the sun set over Eloria, Lyra stood on her balcony, looking out at the city and imagining the forests of Violia. Selene appeared in the portal's shimmer, waving with a smile. "I thought I might find you here," Selene said, stepping through. Lyra laughed. "I was thinking of the gardens in Violia. I cannot wait to see what we create next." Together, they walked through the city streets, imagining ways to integrate lessons from Violia's energy into Eloria's technology. They planned floating parks, energy monitoring systems, and educational programs that encouraged curiosity and empathy. Every idea, every project, strengthened their bond and inspired those around them. As evening turned to night, the princesses sat quietly on a balcony overlooking the city lights. "Our worlds are different," Selene said softly, "but they are learning to understand each other, and that is more important than any project or device we could build." Lyra nodded. "Friendship, curiosity, and respect, they can accomplish more than fear, suspicion, or even power, and we are proof of that." The stars above shone brightly, as if acknowledging their journey. Across the galaxy, two worlds had come together, not through conflict, but through cooperation. Citizens and leaders had seen that learning and empathy could overcome fear, and that friendship could create bridges stronger than walls. The celestial alignment continued its gentle glow, a reminder of the rare moment that had brought Lyra and Selene together. The portal remained open, symbolizing opportunity, connection, and the promise of future exploration. The princesses made a quiet vow to continue learning, teaching, and inspiring, to use curiosity as their guide, friendship as their foundation, and cooperation as their tool. They knew challenges would come, that doubts might return, and that each world would have its own struggles. But they also knew that together, they could face any test with wisdom, care, and hope. As they gazed at the glowing horizon, Lyra turned to Selene. "Our meeting has changed more than our lives. It has begun to change the world itself." Selene smiled, her eyes reflecting the city lights and the glow of distant forests. "And it is only the beginning. Together, we will show our worlds what is possible when hearts and minds come together, not through fear or force, but through understanding, learning, and trust." In that quiet moment, the two princesses felt the weight of possibility. Their worlds were watching, learning, and beginning to understand. And in the gentle hum of the portal, the pulsing light of the gardens, and the soft glow of the floating forests, a new era was taking shape, a time of hope, cooperation, and a bridge between worlds that had once been distant and unknown. The journey of Lyra and Selene had reached a milestone, but it was far from complete. Together, they had proven that curiosity could inspire, that friendship could guide, and that two worlds could come together to create something extraordinary. And as the twin moons of Violia rose and the stars over Eloria sparkled, the galaxy watched quietly, waiting for the next chapter of their story. The princesses smiled at each other, knowing that they had not only discovered the possibilities of collaboration, but had also created a legacy of hope, learning, and understanding that would ripple across both worlds for generations to come. And in that moment, with the Harmony beacon glowing softly in the distance, two princesses from two worlds stood side by side, united by curiosity, friendship, and the belief that together they could illuminate the universe. Two princesses, two worlds. Their meeting threatened the balance of power,